5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, yes, this is the almost famous Alex Bennett, and this is Alex Bennett's Ramble, and we go until midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, out to the other coast of the United States we go to spend some time in California with Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Larry.
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
How's it going with you, my friend?
We're still alive. That's all we can hope for, I think, at this point.
Yeah. As long as your body hasn't hit room temperature, you're
yeah, right. When we assume room temperature, yes, it truly is over.
It's really over.
I was thinking, as you start to reflect over your life, what would you have done had you not gone into radio? Because I was trying to think. I had a couple of day jobs. I just hated them, and I don't know sometimes I regret getting into comedy, but I don't know what else I could have done, you know?
I think maybe I'd become a pimp. You know, have a stable of hoes.
A big Cadillac.
A big Cadillac. And then all the other pimps would say, he's white. What's he doing here? Yeah.
You could have been a white pimp named Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche. Yeah, I'm Avalanche, and these are my hoes. You know. Anyway, but what would I have done if I hadn't done this? I always when I was a kid, you know what I wanted to be, and this was before there was any such thing. I wanted to be an astronaut.
Wow.
This was before there was any such thing as an astronaut. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to go into space. Yeah.
Well, that was very prescient of you.
Yeah. But then I instead went into radio. You know. And I can't think of anything else I've ever wanted to do but be in show business. Okay? When I was a little kid, I wanted to be in show business.
Did you ever have another job?
Never. Well, I mean, you know, I drove for the Chinese Food Express in Marin County delivering Chinese food, but I don't know if we consider that an occupation.
Wow.
Have I ever had any other job? Not really. You know.
So you've been in show business full time.
I started getting my first paying job in radio when I was... I think when I hit 17, a local radio station. Well, no, the first radio job I ever had was in Reno, Nevada. I was mentioning this to Pearl the other day. It was in Reno, Nevada for a short time. And then I came back and I worked in Marin County. And I think how old was I? I was 19 when I went to Reno. And so that my first really paying job that you would call a job. I mean, Chinese Food Express is not a job. Working at the Marin Motor Movies at the snack bar is not a job. That's something you do when you're a kid and you need to make a few bucks. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I don't think have you ever done anything else?
Yeah, I had some dead-end clerical jobs for the government. That was about it, and that forced me to get into stand-up. Just a day job will kill you.
I think people who are in stand-up always had some kind of other job first. People who are in radio, I don't know. How did people in those days get into radio? I don't even know how I got into radio. I just think perseverance, you know, it was what got me into radio.
Well, that's amazing. You were doing it at 19.
Today, there's no radio to get into. So, you know, they're firing people like crazy in radio now?
What's left of radio, I think all of stations are in huge debt, for one thing.
Yeah, well, you know what they're calling it now in some stations? They fire people and they call it relocation. Really, I'm serious. We're relocating 100 jobs. Yeah, where? Well, nowhere in particular, but we're relocating them. We're relocating them out of here.
Well, I just wonder if radio's going to be around.
Well, no. I mean, it's sad because radio is really its ability to go out with one signal and get to millions of people certainly outstrips the internet, in which you have one stream that goes out to one person and then another stream that goes out to another person, and that takes up a lot of bandwidth. So radio is pretty much as a delivery system.
Oh, it's a great medium.
But as a delivery system, forget about the medium, about using it for doing shows and things like that. As a delivery system, is far more effective than the internet. So what the hell? It's nice to know that you're being heard all around the world. Of course, there are only 23 people, but they're around the world.
Well, you just see these great stations out here now, like they're selling hours of their time to people to sell vitamins and crap like that. It's just unbelievable.
It's gotten down to that, huh?
Yeah, KGO on the weekend. I think you can buy 3 hours for $500 an hour or something like that.
We should talk for a second about KGO. This is an amazing story. This was a station that for 35 years was the number one station in the Bay Area. And then one day, the rating systems decided to change their methodology. And all of a sudden, they weren't number one anymore. And then they were like number 5. And then they were number 10. And now they're not even on the map. But they used to be such a predominant station in the Bay Area.
Huge.
And now they're nothing.
Nothing.
They're absolutely nothing. Do you know what the number one station is in San Francisco?
Probably a sports, I would guess KNBR.
Nope. Ready for this?
Yeah.
KQED.
You're kidding, really? That had no listeners.
KQED radio is the number one. It's, by the way, for people who don't know, it's the NPR station in San Francisco. It's non-profit. It is the number one station in San Francisco. Now, they didn't realize how many listeners it had until the rating system changed and they decided to include non-profits. They weren't including non-profits in their methodology. When they started including KQED in their methodology, all of a sudden it was number 3, and then it was number 2, and now it's number 1.
That's incredible.
Now, there's no other nonprofit station in the United States that is number 1 in their market, but in San Francisco, KQED. Who knew? What was I beating my brains out for at 6 o'clock in the morning on a commercial radio station when I could have gone over to KQED and done pledge breaks?
Would have been a lot easier.
Remember the time I ran for board at KQED?
Yeah.
To get on the board?
That was hilarious.
Boy, was that a fix. There was no chance of me winning, even though I had, a lot of people voting for me, because I had a radio show and I could plug it. But they found some way around whatever to make sure I didn't get in there, because I said when I got in there the things I was going to do. This was for the TV station, because KQED had a studio that was given to them by somebody, the facility, and it was like a giant warehouse, but it had been changed into a studio, and it had the largest sound stage for TV of any station in San Francisco. So they rented it out for commercials and things like that. Well, one day the head of KQED decides, I want a nicer place. So they went and spent millions and millions of dollars to build this facility across town that didn't have near the studio space this one did. But, man, it was luxurious. And I just said, that was a complete waste of money. When you've got to begin with, you're a nonprofit, And you're okay, so you're in this old warehouse that was now turned into a studio that was now the biggest sound stage in San Francisco. What's wrong with that? You know, you're nonprofit. You could work out of a goddamn toilet. You know, you don't need the facility, the kind of facility that you had in this new place, because who are you trying to impress? You know, so, but I didn't win, so that was that.
It was rigged.
It was rigged.
Fraud at the polls.
Fraud at the polls. Yeah. Are you following what's going on in this country?
I try to avoid it.
You know something? You're lucky. Can you avoid it though? Have you been able to avoid it?
You can if you avoid. Well, I don't watch much TV at all.
Okay.
I'm in the car. You hear the radio. If you just punch around, you get so much talk radio. So you got to avoid that.
Yeah, because I'm sure
you'll feel better if you avoid it.
I'm sure in your car there's only an AM radio.
I think I do have FM.
You think you do have FM? You just don't know how to get to it. Well, you know, I mean, you live kind of in a societal avoidance existence, I would say, right?
I do. I got into stand-up to actually avoid people. Let's get away from the day job.
Yeah. And you don't care about technology.
No, I think if I understood it, maybe I would, but I don't have that type of brain. So.
Well, the issue, look, this stuff is made for idiots to work. You know.
Well, that is true, right? If it's made for the masses, I should be able to figure it out.
In case you haven't listened to my meanderings with Larry, let me just tell you that this is a man who does not have a modern cell phone. He still has a flip phone.
I get the flip.
I'm surprised it still works.
Works very well.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes they have changed the methodology for having you get a signal into a phone, where it's much better. But you don't, I think, have things like 4G in your phone. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
it doesn't work. It just is. But
well, most people don't use smartphones as a phone anyway.
Well, yours isn't a smartphone, is it? It doesn't have any of the apps or anything like that on it, right?
It can text. It can take pictures, not very good ones.
Yeah, yeah. And I have offered him a phone, an old one that I am no longer using. That's still very, very good. If he would just go out and investigate getting service, and you haven't, have you?
No, I've had there's 4 or 5 people I know begging me to take iPhones they want to give me and stuff.
Yeah,
I just shun them.
Yeah. Right now, instead of talking to you on the phone, I could probably actually see your picture.
Yeah,
but
well,
no,
that would probably be a negative. So.
but no, I could with your current phone. I can see a picture, but you have to go down the street to have it developed before I can see it.
1 hour photo.
1 hour photo. 1 hour video photo. I just and we've tried, Larry. God knows we've tried. You say other people have offered you phones.
Yes.
You know.
The one thing I wish I would like to get high-speed internet. That would be nice.
Can you get it in your apartment?
According to AT&T, not very well. I think Comcast can come in, but they're going to have to drill a bunch of holes and stuff.
Well, let them do it. Then maybe if your computer has a camera, we could see you. Mm-hmm. Boy, you sound impressed by that.
I don't like to be seen.
You don't like to be seen. Oh, wait a minute. Let me think about this for a moment. He's a comedian. He's on stage.
I got in the wrong business.
He goes on TV shows and does his act. And you don't like to be seen, huh?
I'm like Betty Davis.
I mean, people could see you. I mean, believe me, they will not be let down by what they see.
A depressed turtle.
Do you remember when you did you grow up at all in the days of just radio? No. There was TV when you were born, right? We've just lost him again. Oh, boy. Poor connection. Oh, is that what it says? Let me try him again. Here, we'll call him back. And Larry is unavailable. Huh. Well, here, let me just stop for a second, and we'll see if we can get a hold of him. Okay. All right, we got Larry, I think. Yeah. Hi, Larry.
Hey.
Welcome back.
We're back. You started to say, "Do you remember?" and then went down.
No, do you remember? Did you listen to radio when you were growing up? I mean, in other words, like when I grew up, the only thing we had was radio. We didn't have TV. Okay, but you had TV, right?
Yeah, but we did listen to radio too.
Yeah. And do you remember how you would listen to somebody you really liked, and then one day you would see a picture of him, and you couldn't figure out how that voice came out of that person?
Exactly, yes.
You know? I mean, do you remember that? Because I remember it implicitly, that I would look at, that would hear somebody on the radio, and I look at a picture of him, you know, and he looks like Casper Milquetoast.
Yeah, I think about that. When you hear a voice, you kind of conjure up a vision of what they look like. I don't know why you do that, but then and they never look like what they sound like.
In fact, when I first went to work in San Francisco, they started taking a lot of pictures of me and stuff like that and put me on TV, and I started wearing a hat and dark glasses because I didn't want anybody to know what I looked like, because I wanted people to relate to me as the voice, not as the visual. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I gave up on that. But the problem I always had when I was a kid, I could not put a voice together with the picture that they would show me, the photograph they would show me of that person. Now, in your case, if we showed people what you look like, and they can see that because I put a picture up of you while we're doing this on the air, it's no less. You look just like you sound. Yeah. So, anyway, that's our Larry Bubbles Brown. He looks like he sounds. That should be your new slogan. I look like I sound. You know?
That'd be a good name for an album.
Yeah. So, what's in your act lately? You're doing the same. What's the oldest piece of material you're still using?
Well, someone stole my identity now. His life sucks. Is at least 12 years old.
I use that one all the time, and I quote you on that.
It's a good opening line, though. Kind of sets the tone.
Yeah. Now his life sucks. Okay, so that maybe is the oldest one.
That's probably the oldest one. Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you what the newest one is?
Newest one is I'm trying to get away from some of the one-liners, so I actually started telling some stories, even though I'm not a good storyteller, but like things that interest me, like the guy that and the audience seem to like this story about. Do you remember Lawn Chair Larry?
Lawn Chair Larry.
Yeah, it's 1982. He and his girlfriend got a lawn chair, and they bought 40 weather balloons, filled them with helium, and
yes,
he thought he was going to go above like rooftop level and float around L.A., and he shot up to 14,000 feet. There's a TWA, this is actually on tape, a TWA pilot flying in LAX says we have a man in a lawn chair with a gun at 11,000. So then he started to shoot the balloons out because he wanted to come down. He's getting above the oxygen level, and he shot 3 balloons out, then he dropped the gun. So the chair started to fly out over the ocean. They thought he was going to die. Then it blew back in, and the balloons slowly started to deflate, and he actually made kind of a soft landing in someone's backyard.
Oh, geez almighty. That's a great story.
Great story, and he was on Letterman and did a bunch of TV, and then then I add this to the story, which bummed everybody out, but was funny. 2 years later, his girlfriend dumped him, so he went out in the woods and shot himself.
Really?
That was Lawn Chair Larry.
Wow. And that's your latest piece of material.
That's my latest piece of material. I would love. It's so sad that because everyone has everything's over documented with phones and pictures now. There's actually no photos of this. So the fact that he just thought he was going to float around at 30 feet and the thing shot up like a rocket, incredible.
Yeah, but he went out over.
And he had no seatbelt either. He's just sitting in his lawn chair. It was over 11,500 feet.
I can't believe that 11,500 feet is over about 2 miles.
Close to 3. Yeah, it's over 2. Yeah, you get. And I was trying to think. You lose 3.5 degrees for every 1,000 feet you go up. So it must have been getting cold.
Yeah. And then he committed suicide.
Committed suicide. His girlfriend left him, and so he was a true romantic, I guess.
I mean, after surviving that, he should have just said, "Okay, that's it. All right, I'm okay."
Yeah, that would have been cool to have done something like that in my life. I would love to have done something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, so you asked the question earlier, what would you become if you hadn't gone into this? What would you have become?
Well, my dream as a kid was to be a baseball player, and I could hit, but I couldn't run or field, so that was out. I wanted to be I actually read medical. I kind of wanted to be a doctor, but I was such a hypochondriac. I just read these medical books and think I had everything I was reading about. So
yeah.
Now I would have thought you would have been a good doctor.
Why would I be a good doctor?
You had an interest in medicine.
Yeah, but there's something terrible about medicine. But first of all, yes, you do help people. Ta-da. Okay, that's very nice. But then there are people that die on you.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I asked my doctor that. I said, "Don't you have people that die?" She goes, "Yeah." It's very sad.
It's very sad. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if I could take that. Now, I knew somebody that went into being a baby doctor. And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because usually I went into it," he said, "because I thought there'd be less having to deal with death. But it's not true. Babies die as well. And then it's even sadder. So, I mean, I don't think I could have become a doctor. And it takes too much studying to become a doctor. And you got to go through too much. I don't have that I haven't got the time, right? What I always wanted to be, okay, you asked what else would I be doing, and it's very similar to what I am doing. I would have become an actor. Okay, in fact, I started out to be an actor. And
that's why you've got so much knowledge of movies.
And then what I did is I couldn't, I was acting in local theater and things like that, but I saw it as a difficult road to hoe, and so I wanted to take the shortcut. What I figured is I would get into radio. If I did really well in radio, somebody would ask me to act. And so I went into radio, and I became, I think, fairly successful in the radio business, and nobody ever asked me to act.
Oh, my God.
So much for that. Right?
And you met a lot of great directors, too. They could have helped you.
Yeah, I could have, yeah. And I'm trying to think. Robert Downey Sr. wanted me to be in a movie he was making called Greaser's Palace, but he couldn't afford to fly me out to Arizona to shoot it. So I missed being in that. Okay? That was Robert Downey Sr., folks. Yes.
That's so funny. And you said Robert Downey, his kid was hanging around you when you guys were in New York.
Oh, I went out to lunch with the kid.
When he was like 5, right?
When he was like maybe 6, 7 years old, yeah. And there was Bob and his son. And in true Hollywood fashion, I keep saying to myself, was I nice to him? Yeah. But
He
yeah.
had one of my favorite quotes, Robert Downey Jr. Anybody can act, a few can direct, nobody can write. That's true, right?
I guess. There's some good writers. There's some very good writers out there. There's this guy from New Zealand now, Watiti Kiki, I can't remember his name now, did Jojo Rabbit. Great writer. Great writer. He'll probably win the Academy Award on Sunday for best screenplay.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, this will run after that, so people will find out whether I was right or not. Hey, listen.
I've got a copy of Jojo Rabbit, so I should watch that.
Oh, you do have it?
Yeah, I got one of the screeners from SAG.
Yeah, I have. Oh, you belong to SAG?
Yeah.
Oh, so you get the screeners every year.
The screeners, yeah.
Oh, watch it. You'll love Jojo
I will.
Rabbit. You'll love
Okay.
Jojo Rabbit. It's a comedy about Hitler.
that sounds better than Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, no, it's a really good. One of my favorite movies of the year. That and 1917.
Okay.
So anyway, hey, listen, we've run out of time.
It just flies.
No, I'm talking about in life. I'm about to die.
that too.
I've run out of time. And we've run over, too, which is nice, because I enjoy talking to my friend.
You too, Alex.
And
You're the best.
your friend, too, Larry Bubbles Brown. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And that's our little to-do with Larry Bubbles Brown. Boy, I got a little... If I turn this up too much, it distorts my whole thing. That's what I don't like about this sound board I've got here, is it does that. But anyway, if I watch it, it never goes over. Otherwise, it distorts. Anyway, let me see here. Let me bring. Let's see who we're going to get on here tonight. Let me. By the way, I talked to some of you were listening last night. Kathleen called me on the phone during the show and said, "Oh, my father, I got a problem with my father." And she was crying and all that, and everybody here felt really bad about it. So let me just tell you, I talked to her today, and what it was really all about was that her father broke his knee. All right, and she was distraught about it because she loves her father dearly, and so. That was that, and I just wanted to let you know that so you wouldn't think that like he had died or he was in some kind of horrible condition, and I didn't want to pass it by all of you. Let me just turn this on here so you can see that the light is lit, and I'll wait for people to call here. Oh, let's see. Tomorrow I go in for my. Hold on a second. I'll mention this in a few minutes here. Let me see here. First of all, there's Charlene is calling. Charlene, there you go. Get yourself together there. There we go. Let me see here. Let me get Charlene here. There we go. Is she there? Yeah, there we go. And then I do that, and then you can see Charlene. Hello, Charlene. How are you?
Oh God, I haven't used my tripod in so long. I forget how to use this thing. But I'll be all right. I'll figure it
You're
out.
making us dizzy.
Oh, sorry. I'm
And
trying to get the light right so I'm not too bright.
God knows I have enough problem with dizziness as it is now. So
Well, Alex, I'm glad that it's been going well for you. So far, right?
Well, so far, I was saying it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy, and then I did the third day, and for the last couple of days, I've been feeling some kind of effects from it more than I have.
Like after effects?
Yeah, just basically being tired, and my stomach was kind of fidgety. Okay. And let me see here, what else? And and then it's hard to pee. So outside of that, I'm okay. And let's see here, we got Phil, so we have to give him a spot here, or maybe we don't have to.
Oh boy, here comes Phil.
Yeah, here comes Phil. Here comes Phil. Yeah, here comes Phil.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, what?
How many of those Imagine shirts do you have?
That's it.
Just the one?
Yeah, I just never wash it. No, yeah, no, this is the one that I have.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I thought you had another color one too.
No, I have a couple that were for, uh, 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 wait a minute. There's a lot of noise coming from you, Bree. Oh, there we go.
Maybe it's from that vent above his head.
Yeah, Bree, can you hear us?
Yes.
Some kind of
He's
fan
listening
or
to
something that we're hearing. It's kind of, uh,
Oh, that's my computer.
it's your computer? You mean it's that noisy? Let me see here. I'm trying to figure out which one of these is you. None of these is you.
Yeah, it's
Wait a minute. I'm having trouble finding you here.
sometimes when I open new programs and got a bunch of things going on,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
it
Okay.
it gets
Come on.
ramped up.
Come on. Where's Bree? There's Bree finally.
Guys,
Sort of gets ramped up.
Okay.
He's going on a job interview or something. Huh?
No, I don't think so. But there he is. It's your other computer because it's the one where we get the square picture. There. Let me see
Oh,
here.
he's got that. What is it called again when his background is all blurred out?
Oh, he's got the let's blur out the background thing going for him too. On top of that, don't want us to see how messy your room is, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. And Phil wasn't with us last night because he was out beating up on old people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you were at the photo club with all those old folks and then you'd like take first place and then you kick them in the balls.
I'm the print chair. So the judge, organized the prints, set them up on the viewer. And so what I do is an integral part of the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be there on the first and third Wednesdays of the month.
Yeah. And
no one is young enough to and strong enough to lift the viewer onto the table.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. And there is now there's somebody else calling here. Let's see who this is. I'm suspicious about this one. Hello, who's there? Who is this?
This is Ray.
Oh, hi, Ray. Oh, Ray. You didn't even have your normal Ray thing there.
No, I new account with my real name, I think.
A new account with your real name? No, it's something really strange now. It's like let's see here. CID 21D01568BDE929FA.
Okay, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, well, that's what
I'll have
it
to
is.
go in and fix it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say you need to fix it.
Charlene's got her hand up.
Yes, Charlene.
Well, Rob is here. Rob, is Court TV back on the air or something? Like in another incarnation?
I don't know. I know that it turned into True TV.
Yeah, because I don't know how I know this. My husband won like a Samsung TV like at Christmas time at his job, like 55-inch 4K. Is it 4K? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
4K.
Yeah, so it's got all the bells and whistles now and all this. So like it's really nice.
Yeah.
And somehow I don't know what I was flipping through or whatever I was doing, and somehow I think now they're calling something Court TV-ish or something. And then I thought of you when I saw that, and now you're back on, so that's how I associated.
I haven't seen
but,
I haven't seen Court TV anywhere. Have you, Rob?
Been a participant.
They have an
I
act.
wish they'd bring that back on though, because I used to love Court TV. I think of you because you used to work for them and all that.
They have a website, courttv.com, and yeah, there seems to be.
And Alex, remember somebody asked you about your gilded frame down there, behind you?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed my mother always asked about that. And I think you said it was Marjorie's family picture. There's another picture that you added down there. Is that like a Marjorie picture?
No, it's always been down there. The one with Marjorie over there in the corner years ago.
Is it Marjorie?
Yeah.
That picture black and white?
Yeah, when she was a glamour girl. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see that. Can you? Oh, well,
But,
you'd have to
I
get
don't
up.
want.
You don't want to get up.
Come on. I'm
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
too fatigued from the
Sorry.
radio activity. So
This is the world that we live in.
what?
So
Can I
just
say
went-
something
Wait,
real fast?
wait,
Alex?
hold on a second. Rob was going to say something.
I'm on the Court TV website, and they have a logo because it's 25 years since the OJ trial, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Have a logo, OJ 25. And it's the OJ Simpson murder trial, and it's on demand, so you can actually watch the trial.
The whole
But I
thing.
mean, come on. It's just like,
That must be really making them a lot of money.
well, I mean, it put Court TV on the map. I was there for that.
Speaking of making money, let me just announce
Oh,
that.
yeah, what happened? Yeah.
Okay, but wait a minute. Let me tell the story.
Well, I was looking for the commercial and I didn't see
No,
it.
you didn't
Go
see
ahead.
it. Well, who knows? It is there. What happened was is I got over 1,000 people. In fact, we hit 1,025. I think we got something like 200 people in 2 days.
How much did it cost?
Didn't cost a penny. All those are real people. Okay. And when you get 1,000 people, you will then get to be a what do they call it? I don't know. Yeah, and you get to monetize your channel. So I started to put commercials at the beginning, and a commercial at the end of every program, which after 5 seconds you can click and go skip and just go right to the show.
Get the same money if they skip, or you get
I
more
have
money?
no
Somebody
idea.
said
I
you
don't
do.
expect I'm going to see a penny for any of this. And if in a couple of months I don't see something like 3 cents, I'm not going to
but,
do
you know,
it.
if you know that by hitting skip doesn't get you as much money as not hitting skip, then we should all not hit skip.
I think it is just that the commercial runs. James Hall just said, I saw the commercial when I clicked on a rerun earlier. So, you know, I told it to run the commercials at the beginning and the end of the show. I can run them during the show too, but I don't want to do that, you know.
No, that would be annoying, Alex.
That would kind of be annoying and interruptive and be against the flow of what this program is all about, which is sheer boredom. So anyway, so I put a thing up and I said, does anybody mind me
Like at
doing
1
this?
hour.
And everybody was very supportive about it, saying, if you can make money off of this in any way, go ahead and do it. You know, I'm willing to bet you I make 3.5 cents. Okay.
Have you noticed how aggressive some of the commercials are on the internet now? They
Yes,
just
I've noticed.
keep coming at you, and you can't get rid of them, and you got to drag them down and over and
No,
press.
I haven't.
I've noticed new ones with a little tiny X that you
Yeah.
keep clicking and it doesn't go away. Yeah.
They're much more aggressive. than-
Well, there's something wrong with your sound tonight, Phil. It seems to be pulsating. You know, it seems to be affected by other people talking and stuff like that far more than it usually is.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe it's this thing.
What thing?
Spit guard.
What's spit guard? Oh boy.
I thought that was a windscreen or something.
No, that's really what they call them. They
He
don't call
calls it
them.
a spit
They don't
guard.
call them spit guards. That's what you get when you go to like a buffet.
Yeah.
You know. And they have a
They call it sneeze guard.
Yeah. Yes, Charlene.
You know, I hate to make because you know how last night you said, Alex, that you watched him, do the, that thing with Nancy Pelosi ripping and.
I don't want to get into that yet.
Well,
I really.
Well, I watched today and I got.
I said I don't want to get into it yet.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
That's why I don't call so much.
Yeah.
I do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Because
just irritate everybody. I'm sorry.
because I'm thoroughly upset with this country. Okay.
I
I'm
know,
thoroughly
that's what I was
upset with
gonna say,
it.
but I'm
In
sorry.
fact, I'm watching Harriet, which is the movie about Harriet Tubman, which, by the way, is very good. We haven't.
I want to watch that.
We didn't watch all of it tonight because Marjorie had to get to sleep, but it's very good. And
Black History Month.
and the actress who stars in it, this Evio, and I can't remember her last name now, Chapman or something like that, is a British actress who is also on this thing called The Outsider on HBO, is just terrific. But what it said to me was, when we look at each other, Marjorie and I, and say, what has happened to this country? It's become horrible, We suddenly look at something like slavery and go, well, it never was that great to begin with, And really, that's true. I think we've had a very ugly history. For the most part. Yes, Ray.
I was saying the same thing to Katie today. I said, it's like for most of my life growing up, this country's been fairly decent. But then I think back, with the slavery and the Indians, and now again we got kids in cages. It's like we went through a little time there where we were pretty good, and now we're starting to go back to being awful again.
Selective memory. There was a thing called colored water fountains, colored bathrooms.
How's that selective memory? I was just saying that happened.
How is that selective memory, Phil?
How am I being selective memory?
Because
I'm talking after that,
better,
Phil.
Had been better before.
No, I said, okay, never mind. Okay.
He's dismissing your feelings about things. Go ahead, Ray.
Whatever.
Go ahead with what you were saying.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Alex, you know that soundboard you have?
Yeah.
Just a quick thing. Sometimes I have the same one, and I get this like underlying hissing sound sometimes the computer is hooked up to. Do you ever have that problem?
No.
That's
no.
fans.
Not
What
at
is
all.
it? The fans?
Your admirers.
Oh, yeah, I wish. No, it's just like this low level.
By the way, is Bree still there? Are you there, Bree?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just having poor connection, so I had to
Yeah, you are.
try to reduce it a little bit. See.
He is. You might hang up and just call again. You might get a better signal. You do that. Just a suggestion by me. No, but I, I mean, when you consider slavery, I mean, I could go through a whole bunch of things. You go, well, wait a minute. My impression of how wonderful America was the impression that I was indoctrinated with when I went to school. But if you go back and look at the history with slavery, and you go back to the 50s when I was growing up with the McCarthy hearings, and which were witch hunts. If you go back into other times in our history, prohibition was a really stupid idea. I mean, we go on and on and on. You go, it really wasn't that terrific. There you go. We got Bree on again. It wasn't that terrific, and it isn't that wonderful a country. And I've suddenly said to myself, fuck this country. I hate it. Yes, Albert. Why do I call you Albert? What is Rob?
I think
see, two people do voices on our channel now, and Rob is one of them and Albert is the other, and I don't know why when I see a microphone like that I go Albert.
Dementia.
Yeah.
Can I say?
Wait, hold on a second. I'm talking to him now.
I think
Charlene.
What you're feeling it goes beyond this country. I think it's just human nature in general. I think as people go, people suck. This is a nasty world. Sucking for as long as they've been on this planet. And I think this country is probably one of the more, I don't know the word for, more benevolent, if you will. But people in general are just, beings are just nasty.
Bree, when you're not, Bree, let me say this. When you're not talking, please mute yourself, will you? Because
I'm still having trouble, Alex. I'm gonna try it another. Just give me a minute.
Okay, all right, but yeah. My friend Jack Garfine said, "I hate the human race. It's individuals that are okay."
That's right.
And there are individual acts of heroism, there are individual acts of giving, and so on, and but most people suck.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why I have the negative attitude I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Mr. Negative because I've run across so many people who don't follow through with what they say. They're, it's just they're not honest. They're, so you lose faith in humankind. By the time I've reached the age I'm at, you just get to a point where, you run to people who are fucking amazing, right? People who are just so good, and then
Oh, there are people there are people that I envy because they're so good.
You
Yeah.
know, and the attitude, their positive attitude. There are some people that you envy, and then But if I don't know you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Phil?
I put you in the other category until I get to know you.
Phil?
See, I believe that you set yourself up for failure if you expect people to be pieces of shit. I actually,
How are we?
and
setting
I
ourselves
believe
up for
that
failure?
people are inherently good, and
Mm.
and if you're positive to them, they'll be positive back to you. People are attracted to people that are positive, and even if somebody's negative, if you're positive, they'll come over to the positive side. I have to believe that people people want to be good. People are afraid. They're afraid of being hurt. They're afraid of being used. They're afraid of failure, and
Well,
fear.
it's
is the
wonderful to
most
hear all this from you, Phil, but you stand up for people and an ideology which is against every wonderful human trait you're talking about.
That's what you think.
No,
You
that's
know,
what how many here agree with me with what I just said? So I'm not the only one, Phil.
I make
I guess we're all idiots here.
Yes, I think you are. I make my living by being positive. I make my living by wanting to do good for other people.
Well, obviously, if you wanted to do good for other people, you wouldn't be following this boorish moron, fuck, asshole, motherfucker, cocksucker, shithead. Was I overstating it?
That's what you see, and I'm not going to try and defend it. Because you're going to have the opinion and your
No,
view
no,
of
no,
it.
Phil,
That.
stop with that. Stop with that. I'm going to tell you something. I decided today, and call me, ridiculous for this, but today I came up with this feeling that I am a very religious person. Okay, now that may amaze a lot of you. I'm a very religious person who doesn't believe in God.
That's reasonable.
Okay, and I'm religious in that I believe truthfully so that in good wonderful things about how we should treat other human beings, how we should live our lives, the kind of decency that we should have. And when I take a look at a guy like Donald Trump, it is that sense of my religious belief that makes me find him absolutely abhorrent.
Well, I agree with you on certain facts. Uh, I have decided to mute, left-wing wackos that keep posting anti stuff, and I'm just going to mute them. I'm not going to cut them off, and I will. I'm just going to get rid of Facebook friends, one left-wing wacko at a time, and not you, Ray. I mean, there are certain people that I enjoy having their opinion, and even if it doesn't agree with mine. But I've noticed that left-wing people will mute or unfriend right-wing people on Facebook very, very quickly. I've been unfriended by 2 people for just making what I thought was a cute comment. One was Sam Van Zandt.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was what's his name, the band leader, friend of yours.
Buddy Love.
No. I bought his album. Where is?
Lee
Eat
Preston.
Yeah, Lee Presson.
Mm-hmm.
I like him very much, but I said something on one of his things, and he had all of these people that kind of just jump on like kids in a cafeteria, and and they're mean, and they try to pick any little thing. So I've decided, I don't want this crap in my life.
Of course, you don't want to hear alternative opinions.
No, and neither do they. And I'm happy letting them have their opinion and not hearing it.
It's completely true on both sides.
Yeah, it is. I am very happy letting them have their opinion, and I'll let my right-wing people post, and I'll laugh at their gifts and so forth, and fuck the rest of them. I just don't need that kind of negativity, and nobody does. And so Rob was the smartest one of all of us by getting rid of Facebook early. And I think he did the right thing. I just felt
Well, he not only got rid of Facebook, Phil, he got rid of watching the news, period.
Yeah, I don't pay attention anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't. The only, you know what? I have the CNN app on my phone, and I scroll through the stories as I'm, and I see, like, I saw Pelosi rip up the thing, and I saw the lack of handshake there, only because they have the little video on the screen. I don't watch the video. I don't read the story. I scroll up. I don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah. By the way, who had his hand up? Bree had his hand up. Yes, Bree.
Yeah. I take mini Facebook breaks. Like I'll go, maybe 2 or 3 days at a time where I won't look at it. And then over the break, the December, January, I went almost 2 or 3 weeks without looking at it or posting or doing anything.
Feel good?
So I think that that's important to take breaks from it. But there have been times, there was a time maybe 2 years ago when I went off everything. I canceled the Twitter, and I wasn't able to get that one back. But on Facebook, I deactivated it. They let you come back, but Twitter did not. So, and I have Instagram, but seriously, I haven't looked at that in a year or so. So, yeah, I think it's important to take breaks.
The only reason I use Facebook at this point is to just send information to the viewers about the program and to post the show so people can watch it. For the most part, I don't use it for making comments anymore because I find that when I make a comment, I'll have a lot of people who agree with me. I'm going to have a lot of people disagree with me, and I don't mind that either. What I do mind is most of the trolling that goes on. Most of the stuff where somebody will start something and then they hijack the whole conversation that's going on, and so I just don't do it anymore because it doesn't pay to do it. Yes, Bree. It's hard to see you, by the way, Bree. It's hard to see you, Bree, because of that window in back of you.
The trolling. You mentioned the trolling.
Yeah.
And I have a WhatsApp group in our neighborhood. I don't know if anybody has this.
I've heard of those, yeah.
Yeah, and one of them posted recently that the coronavirus in Wuhan was started by American consulate employees or something, and it's like at a certain point I want to tell them, we have to keep the neighborhood WhatsApp group is for neighborhood related news and information. It is not a soapbox. It is not a personal blog. It's not your own radio station, And so, but I haven't figured out how to construct that message yet. I just try to
listen, Bree. They're not going to listen. They're just going to they're going to troll you even more.
Not necessarily. I think because we live in the same neighborhood. So it's a matter of, I have another friend in another neighborhood, and she took over and became the administrator, and several others agreed with her, and eventually she won the argument, and that there were rules, that there were guidelines that had to be followed for what you post.
Yeah.
The only real safe social media site where people behave is LinkedIn, because it's a professional.
Yeah.
And people don't. There's no memes, and it's not political at all, and
I have nothing to do with it because it's been a long time since I've been looking for a job.
It is a very powerful tool to find work, and I get a lot of people who offer me jobs through. I constantly getting job offers through LinkedIn. So I keep it. I'm not looking for a job, but it is a powerful social media tool.
Yeah,
professional tool.
Yeah. Well, they used to send me stuff which was like, here are some jobs that are available in your category. And I'm thinking to myself, are they out of their mind? Do they really think anybody would even talk to me at my age?
I don't even remember my sign-in for LinkedIn.
But I can see where it's very good as a way of looking for work.
Actually, I have a friend who, really good storage guy, really smart, really good engineer, who didn't get a job because of all the misspellings in his LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They take it very seriously. You have to have like a pristine, and it makes sense because the guy that was going to And I found this out because the guy that was looking to hire him actually saw me one day and said, "What's up with your friend? I was going to hire him, and I saw his Facebook. I mean, his
Well,
LinkedIn
I got
page."
got permanently banned from LinkedIn for having spelled radio with a Y. So I mean,
I used to get in trouble in jobs for not putting the spell check, or for not putting the spell check on my computer.
I don't know why people don't have spell checks on their computers. I mean, I couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
It's also made me very lazy because if I can't remember how to spell a word, I will just spell what I think is the approximation of it, and then it will underline it, and then I'll go up and there it'll be.
It's so bad. I have to ask Siri most of the time, so I could get close to the word.
Bree brought up that WhatsApp. Does everybody have I have that Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
Do you know you get like a thing with that, like a website thing, like that? Oh God, it's so funny. So people will put on their like neighborhood, neighbors, be on the lookout for a car, and then you actually get a video of the car pulling up. I got a bag of food, and they left this bag of food, and people put their, well, why don't you just eat it? That's what I do. Like it was the wrong delivery.
Never eat shit you find like that.
Oh God, it's like, I'm so sick. I'm with Alex. I Phil, you get so into this stuff with the trolling and all that stuff. I have a Facebook page, and I don't care who argues on there or whatever. I don't get into all that stuff with that. Like, I don't delete everybody because of politics. I mean, I just can't stand all that stuff about sites and the internet and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's for Trump, and I'm anti, so I'm going to delete everybody. And, oh, it's awful.
You've seen people do road rage. They do road rage because they're in
rage, yeah.
Well, it's Facebook road rage, but I mean, if you're driving, you see road rage, and you wouldn't do that if you knew that was your neighbor, or that was your friend's mother.
It's
true. Where I live, I have a neighbor, and I think they would just rage me anyway.
You're 100% right about that, Phil. Was your mother driving? You saw this old person who was driving really badly or whatever.
You'd want to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ray's been.
Yeah. Oh, Ray. Yeah. I have a hard. Yeah.
Hey, Phil. I agree with you, but I have an example. You and I have a mutual friend. I won't say his name. Initials TT. He lives near you. He's road raged all over my website.
Todd. Yeah.
And I've actually had to make a list that I post, and his name. I think he's the one person on it who doesn't.
You cut out there, Ray, for a second.
Yeah. What happened to Ray all of a sudden?
Oh,
there
you
he
hear
is.
me?
Yeah, now we hear you.
You're losing your connection in and out. You're freezing. Well, you know what you can do is mute these guys. You can still be friends, but
that's what I did. I just muted him. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you somebody I blocked on my Facebook page. You're looking at him. Hi, Tony.
You blocked me when?
You're blocked, so I don't have to see you sending me pictures of like Scooby-Doo, for Christ's sake. I don't want
you
that.
You blocked me a while ago.
I don't need, Jeff's getting a good kick out of this. Yeah.
Crazy.
Jeff, you're muted if you want to say something.
There you go. My strategy is to put people on the 30-day goodbye. If you try that, it works pretty good.
Well, you
don't get to see them for 30 days.
You know what I had fun with?
They come back.
Is on YouTube on our chat, which tonight doesn't even have many people chatting, but sometimes I'll find somebody who's just completely disruptive and he's just monopolizing the whole thing, and I can put him on a timeout.
I like that.
Yeah, and I love doing that. That just makes me feel so good to put somebody on a timeout, because it drives them fucking nuts. Let me see here. I got to get, let me see, Hog Rider. Where's Hog Rider? Come on, Hog Rider. There he is. Okay, Hog Rider. And then I do that. And then I do that. And there you go. There's Kevin. Hello, Kevin. How are you? Oh, grab your mic down.
Good. How are you?
Yeah. You notice how everybody, a lot of people doing this have the really professional microphones. The least professional microphone here is the one you can't see. Mine.
Oh, no, you got an AKG or something. It's a very good mic.
The reason I got this AKG was we had one left over from Play TV years ago that I took out to New York with all the other equipment that I took from play TV because they owed me a lot of money, so I kept the equipment. And the microphone was one of the things. And then when we went to do the show, the TV version of my show originally at the TV studio, I used that microphone. I liked the sound of it so much that I went out and bought another one of the more modern versions of it. And I just like the way it makes my voice sound. You know.
So that you took was a $50,000 mic?
No, it wasn't a $50,000 mic. Well, yes, it was. It was because they owed me $50,000. But yeah, which I never got.
Alex.
They finally settled because everybody got paid off, and there were certain investors that got paid first, that were first in line. So by the time they got to me and my $50,000 claim, which was completely legitimate, it was money out of my pocket, I got $300.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's $49,700 mic, but
yeah. That's the best way of putting it. Yeah, so what
I need
have
a better one. I'm gonna replace this one.
What do you mean? What's wrong with that mic?
It's a cheapo, and I gotta talk real close to it, dude.
What do you mean a cheapo? What brand is it? Is it the cheapo brand?
It's a Neewer.
Neewer?
Well,
Neewer. It's a
You see-
Chinese mic.
Carada, how do they pronounce it when you got that pattern? It looks like a heart.
Cardioid.
Cardioid, yeah.
You have to
Cardioid.
talk close to those because they're extremely
It's
directional.
cardioid. Why do you think it's called cardioid, Phil?
Because you have
Got a
to
little
have it.
diaphragm
What?
thing
No,
in
you're
it.
very close. You're very close. Tell them. You know why, don't you, Rob? Huh?
Pattern.
It's the pattern. It looks like a heart.
Yes.
Yeah, if
a
I talk
heart-shaped
here
pattern.
or if I talk over here, you can't hear me, right?
Right. Well, this one I can adjust it to do either. Like if I go over here, you can't hear me very well, but I have it so that it's quite directional. Okay,
Yeah,
so it
very
doesn't pick up the rest of the room. So but anyway, so much for mic talk. It's our
That's it for mic talk.
our new format. All microphones all the time.
Kevin, I use a mic like yours just because my house is so noisy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, that's what's good about when the wife comes in. I can talk to her and it doesn't bother anybody.
Yeah.
Can we talk about ailments, the doctor's waiting room, or no?
Why do you have an ailment that we don't know about?
I'm going to have a back MRI. I'm all excited.
A back
about that.
MRI. I see.
I'm going to get the gel shots in my knees. I'm all excited about that. if my
Really?
insurance authorizes.
Really? Well, then you should try radiation.
I used to do Jello shots.
Yeah.
I don't need that yet.
You should try the radiation. It's so.
I have a friend that got all that. My poor friend, he used to be my restaurant manager.
Yeah.
And then he moved back to Kentucky because he can't take Manhattan anymore. He used to work through all of his chemo and all that.
Well, this isn't. Well, this isn't chemo.
And
this
you know
is,
what happened to him? He's really
Let me
funny. Like
talk.
he laughs about it, but it's not
Yeah.
funny though.
Yeah.
But he had a stroke, and now he's blind in one eye.
Oh, okay, good. Anyway, that improved the dialogue on the program, brought it to a grinding halt. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So what I was saying is
See,
that
this is why I never call in, and I never hear anyone saying they miss Charlene calling in.
How's your
People
prostate,
miss
Charlene?
Renee,
Yeah, how's
How's
they
your
miss
prostate,
everybody.
Charlene?
I'll tell you,
Nobody misses
Marjorie.
Charlene.
Marjorie gets up at night more than I do to go to the bathroom.
Women be
And
like
last night she
crazy.
got up while I was in bed, and I said, "What's with you? You have a bad prostate?" I mean, I just couldn't believe it. She was like, she was off prostating. Anyway, the point is that radiation is a lot of fun. It doesn't. It's afterwards. Like I'm starting to feel kind of the effects of it more. Yeah, I'm getting like the trots, and I'm getting. It's nothing terrible. The urinary stream, which used to be able to kill flies, now can't even kill. Well, the fruit flies that have infested our home now. Let's see here. What's the other thing? I have a certain little amount of fatigue. Like I'll fall asleep for an hour in the afternoon or whatever. Yeah. What?
You ever turn off the light and see if your duties glow in the dark?
No. No,
Oh, you should try that.
no. Supposedly, this radiation doesn't do anything. It's the next radiation, the seeds, that I'm going to have to get a little card. So if I want to fly on a plane,
Ah, okay.
Right, like
they
you'll
won't
have a
say
pig
you're
sniff, right?
you have some radioactivity on you. Everybody, get your guns out. And
I
they'll be
got one of those for my thingy in my back.
really. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then it says that I read it online that, yeah, they're used to that. They're used to
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So, anyway, but it's the worst thing about the radiation, absolute worst thing about it is it's boring. It is just dreadfully
How long
boring.
does it take?
It takes them a half hour, I think, to pretty much decide where they're going to do the thing exactly, where they're going to shoot the ray gun, as it were, and then they say, okay, we're gonna zap you now. It'll take about 2 minutes.
Pew 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 pew.
Pew, pew, pew. And then get up and go. What is?
A computer.
No, it's echo.
It's Echo.
Oh, either that.
Oh, Alexa.
There's something else. I think it might be Siri or something that's talking. I don't know. Anyway, so where was I? So and then it's like 2 minutes. It's like really quick, and then I'm out of there.
Oh, good.
And the last time I did it, I think they only did about a 20-minute setup, and then I was out of there.
So it takes you more time to get there and everything then.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I have to get there an hour ahead of time. Well, I don't have to
drink
now.
all the water and stuff.
To drink the 4 cups of water and let it settle into my bladder, for them to say to me halfway through this whole process, go to the bathroom and unload a little bit of your bladder. So what we're doing now is I'm getting there later, and they're taking less time to get me into the radiation so that I don't absorb as much water. Okay? Does that make sense?
Why don't they just have you drink less?
Well, that's what I said, and they said it's better if we have you drink the 4 glasses, because if you ever try to drink 4 glasses of water, and these are not small glasses of water.
Probably feel bloated, no?
It's
Well,
like 8-ounce glasses?
It's how can I? Yeah, it's about a bigger than that, maybe 10-ounce cup.
40 ounces. Wow.
And
I could never do that.
I just chug-a-lug them and go, okay, I only got one more to go.
Ah.
And then after I'm through, I have to go pee. But because I have this peeing problem, it's not strong. And then I put my clothes on, and then I go to the bathroom and pee again. But if I then want to make a stop at the store, I suddenly feel like I have this horrible urge to pee, because there's so much of this water that's finally gone down to my
Start
bladder.
finding out where all the bathrooms are on the way home, Alex.
Well, no, I'm
You
just
have to
gonna
go.
I'm just gonna go straight home before going anywhere else, But I mean, it's just annoying. Okay, the seeds are going to be a little more annoying. They have slightly more side effects and things like that.
Do they ever come out at the end, or they just leave them in there forever?
The seeds stay in me forever.
Oh wow.
They stop radiating after about 2 months. But they stay in me forever. And they also did a thing called a spacer between my prostate and my rectum to separate it, so I won't the radioactivity won't affect my rectum. Okay. And that thing is this: they put a spacer in there, and the spacer is in there for about 3 months, and then it dissolves and comes
Is it
out in your.
lead or something?
No, it's just a gel. And they put it in there, and then you pee it out after a couple of months, if you can still pee. So it's.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
that's
remember you talking to Bill about that.
what's going on with me. And tomorrow's my 5th day, for day 4 and then day 5 would be Monday, and then I'm through until the 25th.
That's it? You're finished?
Till the 25th, when he puts me under and inserts the seeds.
Oh, okay.
And then a little more misery happens, and then after a little while, the misery with that goes away. So, I just get it over with, and probably after it's all over with, I won't have a prostate problem anymore. Cancer will have been killed. But
And that's what Giuliani went through, the same exact thing?
he went through exactly what I'm going through, or he may have gone through a lesser advanced version, because times have passed. 20 years have passed since his.
Time ago. Yeah.
But this guy
I remember
created
when
created the methodology
the seeds and all that.
that
Yeah.
was used for him. So anybody have any thoughts about the passing of Kirk Douglas?
I didn't know he was alive still. My mother told me he
No.
died.
I knew he was still alive. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was so young.
he was so young. 103 years. You know, you can't.
It was a good life. Yeah.
You can't go up to Michael Douglas and go, "I'm sorry for your loss." I mean, come on,
Yeah, but he didn't get the Medal of Freedom.
Well, he didn't.
Yeah,
No, he
right.
didn't get.
Yeah.
He got the choice of life.
Well, the Medal of Freedom now, I understand, has been so devalued that you're now going to be able to get it in one of those claw machines. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, I never win anything with those.
7-Eleven, yeah.
Yeah.
And you try to get the ball of the stuff now.
They're going to have a presidential Medal of Freedom of Honor or whatever that comes out of a claw machine because it's been so devalued now that
I heard you say that first, Alex. Everyone's saying that.
Conservatives feel that Rush has put a consistent story and support for conservatives. Now, you don't feel the value of his method.
No, I see that
Consistent line of
as having.
bullshit.
I see that as having great value. Now, wait a minute. Hold on a second, Phil. Just listen to me for a moment. I said this last night, and I'll say it again. I have always said that Rush Limbaugh. I disagree with his opinion, but I felt that as a broadcaster, he was one of the best I've ever heard. Let me finish. Can I finish what I'm saying without you interrupting?
Well, it's a conversation.
No, it's not. Not at
Oh.
this point. Not when I start talking like this. Let me just explain to you, and you can listen to how I felt about it. And I said last night that I thought that Rush Limbaugh was, as one professional watching another professional ply his trade, just very good at what he did. Would you disagree with me on that, Rob?
He's a talented broadcaster.
Talented broadcaster, and I had nothing but the highest amount of respect for him as a broadcaster. As for his opinions, I felt he was full of shit. But nevertheless, can I finish?
I just made a Nancy Pelosi face. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
She ripped it up.
Have you ever looked at your friend's face? Anyway, I said that I believe that he was he's an important broadcaster. He has certainly applied his trade well, that I admired him for his talent. He was the first in the business, so please don't blame him for Sean Hannity or anybody that came after him and tried to cash in on what he had created, okay? But the Presidential Medal of Freedom? Come on. Or who gets it next? Howard Stern? I mean, come on. Give me a break. You know, you say that. Wait a minute. You say.
You're right, Alex.
Huh?
Howard Stern.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but Howard
Rob?
came on with the birther
We'll
thing.
start the petition on the White House now.
He
Rob?
and Howard were very close friends before I mean, I
Yeah,
think
but Howard didn't help him
Trump
with that
sweated.
birther thing.
Howard Trump's
Oh, that's right. Howard Stern supported Hillary
Will
Clinton.
you let
Right.
Rob? Will everybody let Rob talk, please? Yes, Rob.
if Howard didn't deviate from Trump, because now he just can't imagine, that he's the president. But if they had remained friends, Howard would have definitely gotten one of those as well. Guarantee anybody who supports him.
This has been
Probably,
this
yeah.
has been reserved for people who have had meritorious times in battle.
Right.
A lot of different kinds of reasons that gave it real value. Okay, so that when you finally got one, what? Oh, Phil, just talk, Phil. Go ahead.
Well, you're saying it's reserved for people that were in battle. This
I
is
didn't say it was reserved in battle. You wouldn't listen long enough for me to tell you
One of
what
the
it was
reasons.
for.
You said it was.
I
for
said one of the reasons was for people who were in battle and meritorious and did meritorious work. What Rush did was not meritorious. It was self-serving. He made a lot of money out of it, and he kept doing it. There was no service involved in that. He did not contribute anything to the art of America or anything else like a lot of other people who do get
He
this
sucked
award.
Trump's ass.
Recently, I guess he was quite a philanthropist. And recently, he came up with this idea of a Betsy Ross T-shirt, and he raised $5 million that he gave to Tunnel for Towers Foundation, which is the one I participate in.
Yeah.
Now,
good.
my group raised $1 million, so in $4 more million, I'm supposed to get that medal. But
When they gave him the medal, they didn't mention that, did they?
Not a damn bit of it.
Did they mention it, Phil?
Nope.
Yes,
No, they didn't.
I heard about it.
You heard about it, but did he, when he was telling him why he was getting the medal, did he mention that?
I'm not sure.
No, he didn't. No, he
I didn't hear it.
No,
I
he
saw
didn't.
a lot of this.
No, he didn't.
Well, it was mentioned afterwards.
It may have been mentioned afterwards. That's not why he got it, Phil. He got it because he sucked the teat of Donald Trump.
They said he got it for philanthropy.
What Donald Trump has done, he's cheapened everything in America, and now he's cheapened even something like this.
It's like today's little conference he had today. All it was a round robin of telling everybody that supported him that they were great and thanks for supporting me and your check will be in the mail.
And did you hear what else he did? Did you notice something that he didn't do that he did that he doesn't normally do at his press conferences? They played "Hail to the Chief."
I know when he walked in.
Yeah.
It was like I was looking at I was going well, I'm going to start looking at places in Canada.
You know, when Bill Clinton didn't get, convicted of his impeachment, he got up and he gave a speech, just like Trump did today. But
He gave an apology.
His speech was an apology to his wife. It's an apology to the country for this thing having taken up so much of their time and their money. And he was quite contrite about it. This guy just bragged about it.
He didn't brag about it. He put out a shit list. He says, "You're anybody that didn't help me, or you're on a shit list, and look
Rush
out."
Limbaugh. Yeah. Rush Limbaugh. I mean, oh God, you know who I mean. The Republican, the only Republican to ever vote.
Romney. I mean, so Romney voted. Yes, Rob, go ahead.
He's on his shit list now, and he better watch out. Yeah.
Rob is talking now. Rob?
So I Googled list of Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And there's a lot.
There are a ton. And you know what? If you read it and you look at the list, you really can't fault him for selecting Rush.
I was just going to say, Cheetah Rivera.
But you
Really?
can't fault for the way he did it.
Give us some examples.
Let Rob. Yeah.
John Wayne. I mean, come on, the Duke.
I mean, a lot
Thomas, Paul Harvey.
But Rob, when were they presented? Were they presented during the State of the Union?
Phil, stop with the ripping of the paper. It's not funny, okay? It's not funny.
I can
And he fucking deserved it,
maybe
Phil.
He got it, but not during the State of the Union.
Typically, the medal is bestowed upon the recipients by the sitting president who has chosen them. However, the first recipient selected by Joe. I'm looking for. It doesn't tell you where it's done.
It's usually done
in a
in
little
the
ceremony off to the side
in the White House. In the White House. It's usually they're brought to the White House and they do it.
What did Cheetah Rivera get it for? Somebody said Cheetah Rivera. What did
I
she
get
get
your
it for?
Can I ask a question?
Or read them around.
Film and theater. But theoretically, though, even though I don't like Rush Limbaugh, theoretically he really is a performer. So he's performing just like they are. Really, are we really gonna say that's like saying War of the Worlds when they perform that on the radio? That's not as important as a John Wayne movie.
Yes.
I mean, you can't take one artwork of full theater and say they deserve it more than he does. I don't like his act.
Kate Smith is a recipient.
Holy
It's
shit.
actually
God bless America.
the reason why I don't like it.
Because of that song.
I think you're right, Rob. It's not so much the medal itself; it's the way it was presented and where it was presented was more of anything.
Well, to begin with,
it was at the State of the Union address.
To begin with, that State of the Union address was antithetical in that, I think I'm using the right word, that it wasn't a State of the Union address. It was, look at me, what I've done, and here are the reasons you're going to vote for me for president this year, rather than, ladies and gentlemen, here is the State of the Union. This is good, that is good. And things are.
Here's where we're going to go.
Here's where we're going to go, and so on. It was all bragging and getting even with people.
That's his personality.
And by the way, go on to the ABC app they have a cut from Jimmy Kimmel's show 2 nights ago.
Oh, shit,
And he
gave it
did
Elvis
a
Presley?
he went to the State of the Union speech, and somebody said, everybody says how dark that speech was. It wasn't dark, it was uplifting. And then he had excised every dark word that was used, and it goes on, things like murderous, horrendous, horrible, inhumane, blah 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 blah, just all negative words throughout the entire speech.
Can I say something, Alex?
By the way,
Today
I
was
didn't
gonna
watch.
be
I didn't
some-
watch the speech, to be
Can I
honest
make
with
that
you. What?
Quintessential.
What?
Can I say one
yes,
thing?
Tony. What?
I'm looking at the medal of these medals
Hmm.
in music. I got to give Trump credit here. He's the only one who gave Elvis Presley the medal.
He gave Elvis one.
Fucking yay,
Like
yo,
Nixon
yo, my
gave him the
well.
DEA thing.
I mean, come on. That's fucking disgusting. The king of rock and roll had to wait till 2018. You got to give Trump credit there.
No,
Classical
I don't.
Domingo over the king.
I don't give him
Yes.
credit for that. I don't give Placido Domingo. I don't give him credit for giving it to Placido Domingo.
But all these presidents.
As I say,
before,
he's giving
you're gonna
these
give
things
Elvis
away
it?
like you're at a claw machine. You know.
I know. You got to give it to Elvis, and not even John Lennon.
Why do you have to give it to Elvis?
Not even Lennon or McCartney.
Wait a minute. Ray's got his hand up. Ray.
I'm fucking pissed
Ray.
off now.
Ray.
Alex,
Go ahead, Ray.
question
John Lennon doesn't get the
for
fucking
Rob,
medal.
for Rob and Alex. I've always heard talk show people in the talk radio industry say how talented Rush is. Can you tell me why? Because I didn't really listen to him. I mean,
Well,
what was it about him?
it's the way in which the way he commands the medium and uses it, and has an art, his way of using the art, and I felt that he really knew how to handle the medium, and he knew how to be. He was entertaining. I mean, I hated everything that came out of his mouth, but
Eventually,
when I listened
but not
to
at
him,
first. I used to listen to him
well,
on AM
didn't
radio.
listen.
he got to believe too much in himself after a while. But in the early days, he was very funny. You know.
Not when he was
I
Jeff
like to hear his
Christie.
old tapes.
What were
Pittsburgh.
you saying, Bree? What?
Not when he was Jeff Christie in Pittsburgh. And I listened to him. I've listened to Rush Limbaugh's whole radio career, essentially, except when he went to the West Coast. But he was in Pittsburgh for where he started.
Yeah.
And later, when he did his national show, I listened to him ever since. I'm not opposed to him getting the Medal of Freedom, but I don't like the way it was presented because I felt it was a pity party. I felt it was like Trump pitying him. Oh, he got the diagnosis. Well, better give him that award. He deserves the award, but not under those conditions.
And not
I
at the
saw-
State of the
That's
and not at
what
the
I-
State of the
That's what I
Union.
meant. A pity party, and they gave it to him at the State of the Union.
Yeah.
It was almost as if they expected him to die today.
Correct.
And it was like, better get it to him really quick. I mean, I thought that was horrendous. He
Alex
should
said
have.
it. I mean, he is gonna probably because it's pretty bad cancer. That's why he probably did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe Lennon and McCartney didn't get the medal.
You know why they didn't, Tony?
They don't.
They're
suck
not
up
American.
there.
Oh, but you're right. I didn't think of it. But they could still
Wait a
give
minute,
it to
Placido Domingo isn't an American either.
Okay. I mean, jeez.
Why did
Gloria
Placido?
Estefan, but not John Lennon.
Shakira, but she was.
Well, Gloria Estefan's an American, Tony.
I know,
Bet
but
you if
can't
they
we
went
just
and
make an
talked about how
exception?
great Trump was, he'd get one.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Yeah. And why did they give to Elvis Presley late? You know.
I mean, Elvis got it lit.
What a
I have
waste
to
of
give Trump
fucking
credit.
time that
Elvis
is.
was the only one who got thought of by Trump.
I'm all for giving Jeff the Presidential Medal of Freedom. You know,
Thank you.
because of the many lives that he's saved as a result of his inventions. How's that, Jeff? Is that fine?
There you go.
That's very nice.
I mean, you
Thank
you save lives, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's certainly better than Rush Limbaugh. You know.
I volunteered at a dog shelter for a couple of years.
Hey, let's get you the president. Listen, we're having them made up, but from here on in, they're going to have chocolate in the middle, so that you can because we've
What
just
does it look like? Is it one of those things you hang around your
It looks
neck or
nice,
something?
the award. It's like a big medal.
we've so cheapened it, whatever.
How long do you think he's going to last, Alex? You think he'll make it for the year?
Who, Trump?
Who, Trump?
No, I mean, Russ. Imagine Trump goes
Because
before
Tony
us.
mentions that he might kick off in his sleep, and
Oh, listen,
I think of that sometimes.
he's gonna. Trump's gonna get a stroke or die of
Doesn't
some
look good.
fat-related
He looks
thing
awful.
because he's
He
just
does look terrible.
he looks
I,
like
He's
I
Russia
think that
last
that's the
year.
only way he goes. I believe he will win the next election, and I believe if he's healthy enough, he will attempt a third term. He
Yeah, did you
has
see
set
that
up.
thing? He tweeted that he's going to just. Well, what was that? That he's going to keep going every year. He's going to be president to infinity or something like, right?
Well, he
Yeah.
just posted something that he's going to be president forever, something
Now,
like that.
wait,
Something
what
like
is
that.
that
Yeah.
all about?
He's
Is
never
he
It will
kidding
only be-
or what is that?
And I think he could, sign it over
Like-
to Ivanka,
Oh, you're kidding.
or, quite possibly. I think Ivanka will be next in line as the
What?
heir apparent.
So the whole family will just be the Republican Party will just pass it all on
There's
to
no reason why they can't do that.
like
There's
a
no reason
monarchy.
why.
Infinity
First of all,
and
he
beyond.
will-
Yeah.
There is no 2020 election. There's no election.
Well,
You
no,
just have to get over that right now. There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
election.
I know. Because he
Because
got away with it.
nothing
He's going to do
is
it again.
provable.
If
Everything
if I was younger, and Marjorie was younger, I think we would do essentially what Bree has done with his life and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Would you go to Canada?
Tell my wife
No, I wouldn't go to
today.
Canada. That's boring.
Really?
No, but I mean, there are a lot of
I
other
would-
good countries in this world to go live in, and I'm sure Bree has seen a few in his time. Certainly he hasn't felt that America was that great to come back and live for any amount of time, right, Bree?
Yeah, I just think that the world is a very big place, and there's a lot out here, and but I've noticed that a lot of people, sort of like to settle in, and they like the convenience and comfortableness of where they are, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, the U.S. It's funny because it's such a big country. The fact that we have one president is kind of interesting. That it's hard to imagine how all of that is regulated and runs, but with one president. I think we kind of need several.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the president doesn't run everything. He hires people to join him in a cabinet who know better than he does about certain parts of the job,
And then
because
there's things
nobody can know it all, right? But they become an administrator, and they should know how to administrate people. And as truth would have it, Trump ran a pretty shitty company. So anyway. The fact is, though, that you can't expect that Trump's going to know a lot about, weapons and the military and so on. He was only in a military academy, but you have people close to you who know that stuff, and then you rely on them to give you good and proper advice. Now, speaking of that, there was this clusterfuck up in Iowa that happened, which is what?
Did they finish counting these votes yet? I mean, 5 days.
Well, they're pretty much, they got like 95% or something like that.
Oh my God.
And Buttigieg actually
Your guy,
He was
guy,
good to
Alex.
them if you
What?
him otherwise.
who?
Your
What?
guy is winning it all.
Yeah, Buttigieg.
But-
Right.
Well,
I
Buttigieg, he isn't winning at all. I mean, it's close. It's very close, but he did much better than anybody thought he was going to do.
Before I came to listen to your show start, Sanders was behind Buttigieg by 2 votes. It was like 542 to 540.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tie, but still, who would have thought Buttigieg would have come out in the top 3 a couple of months ago?
He from a close state to Iowa and to a Democratic caucus. Isn't that
And
good?
he's only a mayor, Buttigieg. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good showing. I mean, that's very good.
It's a very
I
good
thought he was
show.
going to finish third.
That would
And
either vote for Bernie or Buttigieg.
Yeah, so I mean, that's that's pretty good. And Biden's so far behind, he may as well stop thinking about running.
Well, he's
and
been with South Carolina.
Elizabeth Warren, I think, is kind of toast. But I think that it's between Buttigieg and Bernie, And quite frankly, I think of the two, the one who could come closest to beating Trump is Buttigieg. I think his youth, he looks
Elf on a
good.
shelf.
What? Elf on a shelf. Yeah, but I mean, he has a winning personality. He looks good. You put him up next to Trump, and it's a nice, young, fresh-looking guy and a dumpy guy wearing a tie too long on him and his belly hanging over his belt buckle.
There's a
I
big
just feel
chasm.
don't
Wait a
know enough about Buttigieg. Something's coming out.
Well,
But
that's possible.
that didn't come out right.
There's always
There's a
something coming
big
out.
chasm.
We don't know enough about him. He's not seasoned enough.
Okay, Rob wanted to say something here.
There's a big chasm between New York and California, and in that middle of that, no one is going to let a gay man be president. I'm sorry. I think he might be a great candidate, but it's just never going to happen. And maybe
The woman in Iowa,
millennium.
she found out he was gay. She wanted to take her vote back.
Who did?
Never going to happen.
There was a woman in Iowa.
I heard
She
about
voted
that.
for him.
Well, I'll tell you.
And
I'll tell you.
I wanna
We
see
said a
her.
black guy would never be
come out.
president. We said a black guy would never be president. And the next thing we're saying is that, well,
A woman. They say a
Women
woman
are going to
could
be
never
so upset.
president.
You know, it's like any man can seem to get nominated, but only the men are winning.
You
Well,
know,
at least he's gotten a
if that
chance to
woman-
run, like
if
a woman got a
took
chance
her
to
vote
run.
back, it would have been a dead heat between Sanders and Buttigieg because it was only a 2-vote difference. So that would have voted for Sanders.
Crazy, that lady, too.
That would have given you a dead heat.
well,
You
I
should
mean,
never say never, though, but we'll see.
Every vote counts.
but so it's a dead heat. Nobody expected it would be a dead heat with Buttigieg.
I don't think Iowa and New Hampshire are going to matter that much.
No, but they set the table. Okay, that's what they do. And we used to say doing the morning radio show was setting the table for the rest of the day. He said that sets the table for the rest of the election. You know, if you can get out of Iowa and you can get out of New Hampshire with a good head of steam, you can probably hit South Carolina or where is it, North Carolina? What's next?
Carolina's after that.
Yeah.
That's why it's fair that Bloomberg didn't do either the Iowa thing or something. Is
Yeah,
he in
he-
New Hampshire? No.
You know, he's in South Carolina. He's in
10%
Carolina.
went in Iowa, even though he wasn't on the ballot.
Yeah.
I thought
I
he-
got to take off.
Oh, okay. We can't see you anyway, but yeah.
Gotta work.
Goodbye. See you later.
Later.
There he goes. And let's see if he freezes. There he goes. He freezes, and we'll leave him there because I'm too lazy to take him off. I mean, I could, but I'm not
I
going
keep
to.
putting my hand up, Alex, because I happened to see that thing this afternoon.
Mhm.
What was it like where he didn't say he was sorry the way Clinton did after his?
Well, he,
State
you know,
of the Union?
it would be nice to see once in a while to see Trump not be.
Yeah, but we know he never
Can
said
I
he's sorry.
finish what I was saying?
Oh, sorry, sorry.
He asked
I
me a
said
question,
sorry.
and now I'm answering it. It would have been nice if he surprised all of us with a certain amount of contrition and saying, "I'm sorry the American public had to go through this." Okay, I didn't think it was fair of the Congress to do it, but I'm sorry. I apologize to the American public that it even had to happen in the first place. Just some kind of contrition. But you're never going to hear that out of the man because the man doesn't have it built into his DNA. What he's got built into his DNA is a snake.
He's not a good guy. He's just not a good guy.
He's not a good
human
guy.
being.
He's not a good guy. That's the
Yeah.
point. Yeah. I mean, when you get up there, come on. Look, we all know, you know, what he should have done with Romney, what I would have done if I were him was to say, well, you know, we had one Republican who went over and voted for the other side. And hey, you know, he has a certain belief in God and that made him do it. So, okay, fine. But why go after him? It's all, you won. You don't have to go after him. And Romney, you know, he won me over a little bit, you know, because I mean, he did a McCain there for a moment.
Exactly.
I'd vote for him.
Huh? What?
I'd vote for him.
Well,
Right,
I don't know if I'd vote for him
upset
because
that
I
he
don't.
didn't vote last
If-
time for him.
If the Republicans had any balls and they could put up a president to run or a
Put him
candidate,
up now, and I'd vote for him. And I'm not a Republican, right?
I'd vote for him over the Democrats because I'd want to send my votes to anybody who would beat Trump.
Well, you know, I mean, here's a guy who said, "I believe in God, a profound belief in God, And that profound belief makes me feel that this is not the right thing. That is not what?
Are you forgetting his speech prior
I don't know. We're not going back to that, Phil. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's not what
God, but he hates Trump.
That's not what we're talking about, Phil.
think
That's not what Phil. He took a stance based on, as he said, his religious belief, and that he had to give an honest vote. And I think the fact that your people wouldn't allow any witnesses to be heard, any kind of real trial to go on there, is abysmal. And they're going to pay for it, Phil.
Yep.
They're going to pay for it in spades when it comes to the elections.
You
Okay?
lost. It's an excuse. You're just coming.
Oh
up
no,
with
we didn't lose, because come November we're going to have a few. We're going to have a few more senators in office than we have now.
You see what we've degenerated into? These discussions about you lost, it's an excuse. Look, in any trial, Phil, in any trial, you call witnesses. Otherwise, you're not getting the story, right?
The Democrats called witnesses. They had 17 witnesses in the House. They waited a month before they delivered the papers. They were in such a big hurry to have an impeachment.
Phil, that has nothing to do with it. That was then. This was Phil. That was then. This is now. They were running a trial in the Senate, and the senators there should have had to listen or been able to listen to whatever people had to say who were witnesses, such as what's his name,
Bolton.
Hey, the House,
What were your guys afraid of, Phil?
They're not afraid of anything.
They were afraid that they were going to hear the truth.
Due process. Why should he put up witnesses?
Due process? There wasn't due process going on there. Due process would have been to call witnesses on both sides and to hear what they had to say. That would be due process.
Alex, why? I don't want to yell over you, but why should he put witnesses in when it was the House's job to put a case together, and their case sucked? It didn't rise to the
Phil,
level.
after he was indicted, after he was indicted, which is what impeachment is, the president was indicted. They then hold the trial. Hold on a second. They hold the trial in the Senate, and at that point, it is his job, among other things, to defend himself. Wait a minute, hold on a second, Phil. If he wasn't there, if he wasn't supposed to defend himself, why did his lawyers take up 18 hours?
Right.
Because they're allowed to say his.
Well, no, because they were defending him, and that was his defense.
When you're accused, it's up to the police or it's up to the state.
Yes, but they weren't allowed to bring forth any witnesses to show why you did wrong. Phil, I ask you a simple question. What were they afraid of?
They weren't afraid of anything.
Oh, obviously they were, because they fought.
Which was another magic bullet.
God, I love your new sound. I love your new soundboard, because it can't talk over me. It mutes itself when I start talking.
Well, that's the way it's set up. Maybe I got to do something. I've got something to be able to move the Skype.
I don't know. He's going to go through soundboard number 10 now. Yes, Charlene.
The other one.
Alex? Okay. Just let me say real fast that I never got to say that he made me sick today when I saw Trump, because it was like the Trump show. It wasn't like any kind of it was just like a show. He just kept going on and on. And when you just said that Romney's a religious man, he went on and on today talking about, well, if Romney's such a religious man, I don't think he's so religious, blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, it was like the Trump show.
There was
and
no...
on and just like what he thinks about this, what he thinks about that. And I'm like,
you just
I just
want
got
to hear
so
it.
sick to my stomach.
No, I think what Charlene wants to hear, what Charlene would like to hear is a certain amount of humbleness.
Why should he be humble when he's been attacked for 3 years by the left?
Oh God!
And these people,
Phil, quit drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, will you?
I'm not drinking Kool-Aid. You guys are drinking the Kool-Aid.
No,
I'm-
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You
saying
can't. If I say
he
you're
really
drinking the
is.
Kool-Aid,
The
you
man
can't
is
come back
crazy,
with the
Charlie.
same defense. Okay, that I'm
I-
drinking the
nuts.
Kool-Aid.
I
That's
just
like
said I'm
that's like
critical.
me saying you saying something, and I say, "Well, so are you," and you say, "So am I." You know,
No,
whatever.
you didn't hear my last statement. I said I'm here to make sure
Rob
you don't
just threw his microphone away. It must be that he's gotten frustrated. Rob, you have
Hey,
something to say
You know,
here?
the
Rob?
problem is that he had just gotten done doing that earlier at the prayer breakfast, no less.
Mm-hmm.
Where
With
you don't
people
do it.
like
Where you don't
Pelosi
do it.
5 feet away from him. He was in a little bit more of a lowered tone and said Pelosi was such an asshole. But
I know.
Well, then
Just
then
keeps-
3 hours later, he gets up on the podium with all his senator buddies and talks even louder about how everybody's such an asshole and how all his buddies were so good. It was like he was waiting to everybody when we get done with this meeting, we'll go line up over there by the door and I'll hand you your checks. It was that kind of a meeting. I thought I was at a corporate meeting.
Rob?
At a meeting after we just signed a big customer.
Rob,
That's what it sounded like.
You know what I'm going to do, Rob? I'm going to do what you're doing. I'm just not going to watch the news anymore. I'm just going to stop it all. I mean, this is,
I know,
you know,
I have to do that
all it
right
does
now.
is depress me, and all I have to do is listen to this piece of shit open his fucking pie hole.
I am sick of the divisiveness. I said it yesterday when we were
And-
on. I live in a very small area, small town, and there are a lot of Trump supporters here, right?
Yeah.
I went into a cigar shop the other day, and I had some really good, intelligent conversation with people, which I try to avoid around here.
Yeah.
I don't usually like to get into anything, but
Yeah.
we're sitting around talking about it. But there were some people who made some really cogent points and people who pointed out what they don't like about Donald Trump, which
Yeah, but they're still going to vote
never
for him.
does. There
I
isn't.
Donald Trump.
That's what I'm saying. So you see what I'm saying? You know, it's just you can't stonewall it. Yes, the left is not always right, but certainly Donald Trump, with his flawed personality, is far from right. And so many Americans have given up looking up to a leader because he's a man of quality. Trump is not a man of
Well,
quality.
I listened to him today, and he said something, and I turned off most of the speech, but this was a part of the speech I heard. And he was saying that the election that we went through with he and Hillary was one of the dirtiest campaigns of all time. And he said, I agree. It was one of the dirtiest campaigns we've ever had. And then I stopped to think to myself and say, yeah, and why was that? Why was it so dirty? It wasn't because of the dirt that was being thrown around by Hillary Clinton. Otherwise, when he was stalking her on that stage, she would have turned around and told him to shut the fuck up. And plus, we got a president who's a bad example to our youth, who goes around on national television using the term bullshit.
Yes.
And
How do you defend that, Phil, using the term bullshit on television?
bullshit? You know,
No, how do you defend it? I asked you a question, Phil.
they bleeped it. Well,
No, they didn't bleep it. In fact, on the NBC News tonight, they played it as the example of him saying bullshit.
Well, I'm glad he said bullshit
He
because
has scarred this country.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has
and
scarred
history did with
and
the,
our government.
the
He's
phony-
done the same thing to the dignity of the office that he did to the Presidential Medal of Honor or whatever that thing
You
is
got
called.
kids. You got kids. Daddy, why does the president say bad words
that-
on TV?
bullshit, that word.
How would you
Why
answer
does the
that to your
president
kid,
say bad
Phil?
words
Yeah,
on
like,
TV?
what does he mean he's
You
going
got
to
a
grab
kid.
by
How
the
do you
pussy,
explain
right?
that?
I don't think bullshit's a bad word. I think it tells it like
Get real. Get real.
Yeah.
If your kid asked you that when he was 4, 5, 6 years old,
Phil,
what would you say?
let me explain something to you, Phil.
Say
Hold,
don't-
Phil, hold on a second. Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
I often said that the reason that you don't use words like that in polite company or in company, in a group of people, is because there's some people there who might be bothered by hearing it. And that's why you don't use it, out of respect to people who might not like to hear
Don't
that
be
word.
polite.
so. Don't vote for him.
It's being polite. This man
Oh,
hasn't
oh.
got a scintilla of politeness in him.
That's good. I don't vote for him. Then I guarantee don't vote for him. He won't miss your vote.
Oh, yes, he will.
Tony, who are you voting for?
I'm going to tell you something.
Come on.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I really don't have a problem with how he talks, Trump. I don't, because I'm going to tell you why.
Well, that's because you're from Queens.
True, but I'm going to tell you something. I understand he doesn't. Let's be honest. I told this to Phil. He has no. He's crass. We know that. But I'm going to tell you something. I think what they don't like. To me, when I see Pelosi, I'm going to pray for everybody. She looks like an aunt I had that had a little hoity-toity with a finger up. She's poking him. He's not going to take her shit. After a while.
What do you mean? He's getting. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Tony, Tony, you couldn't be more wrong. She's getting under his skin constantly.
But she's not
because he can't shut up about her. He can't shut up about her.
Let's reduce American.
Let Rob talk. Yes, Rob.
Let's reduce American politics to street brawls. Why don't we just do that?
She ripped up the papers the other day. Come on.
After he refused to shake her hand.
Hey,
I kind of liked he stone cold her. I'll tell you the truth.
Well, yeah, but then you should like the fact that she ripped up the fucking papers. And by the way, Pence had the greatest line. It was like she was ripping up the Constitution.
Hey, you guys forget Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton. You think that they didn't fight and have street fights in the past? They shot each other.
Yeah, but at least Hamilton got a Broadway show out of it.
I'm not saying it's
let me just say I agree with Rob about civility and that we've got to stop this. But the thing is that I don't think this division was started by anybody else but Donald Trump. He set the tone for the country.
It's made it worse. I won't say.
Can I say something?
Well, no. Let me finish what I'm saying, Tony. Let me finish what I'm saying. I was talking once to the guy who wrote The Elephant Man. We were talking about about how he became a kind of a sensation in Europe, and then we started talking about styles and fashion. And I said, well, how are styles and fashion set in the old days? And he said, if the king wore ruffles on his shirt, everybody started going around wearing ruffles on his shirt. He said, and I said, well, what is the equivalent today of that? And he said, movie stars. If they wear something, the public tends to start wearing those things. We have influencers. That's one of the newer things in it. And this was Ashley Montague, was the sociologist who wrote the original book of The Elephant Man, which, by the way, I got the rights to and then lost the rights to them. Anyway, the point was that it is the person who is president of the United States who sets the tone and the tempo, the zeitgeist of the times. He sets the morality. He sets how things sound and go. And this guy has really ruined our country that way because he has set a bad example by his example.
Those long ties are pretty nice. And, I think a lot
We're nice.
And the farmer hat, the MAGA hat.
Yeah.
He's setting the tone.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That long tie was created to hide his mushroom dick. What?
It's a tone, all right.
Yeah.
That tone. I wanted to say something about the handshake and the Pelosi handshake.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I looked at the video, and what happened was he handed Pelosi a copy of the speech.
Yeah, and he turned around too early.
And he just didn't see it. Yeah.
Of the Pence, and then he turned around. Her hand was extended when his back was to her. He didn't see her, and he didn't shake Pence's hand either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this whole thing over the handshake is nothing more than you just didn't catch the camera angle like I did. I saw.
You know something? If he gets reelected, dying of cancer may sound like a good idea to me.
What'd you say? Everybody else's microphone is louder than yours.
I would have thought that he would have looked for a handshake.
I like that she ripped it up, though. She was pissed.
Well, you said, wait a minute, a moment ago, you said you didn't like the fact that she tore it up.
That was a mistake.
But I'm like, it's ready.
But then you said you did like it, so maybe figure out which way you want to go on this one, Tony.
Actually, I don't like that she did it, but part of me did it because I like the whole cat. I like this whole fighting. I love it.
He does.
but
and
you-
that's
It was a
And
reality
that's the
show.
problem, Tony. That's the
Watch
problem with our
reality.
I'm
country.
enjoying it. I know. I'm enjoying it. What's going to happen next? It's like
This
a
is your-
profile.
Who are you
Country.
voting for, Tony?
this is your
I
fucking
can't say,
country.
but I don't want change. I'll tell you that. I want more of this
It's not a
ruckus.
reality TV show. This is your fucking country.
I
By the
know,
way,
but
did you
I'm
notice
gonna-
in that whole
can I
press
say-
conference today that the president had, and he thanked everybody and so on, Giuliani wasn't mentioned?
Yeah,
I wonder
what's
what
going
that's
on?
all about.
Where
Is he not on the A list anymore?
Probably wasn't a good thing to mention. I guess Giuliani had one too many press conferences.
He's not in danger of any jail time.
He
or
was
anything.
probably over in the Ukraine.
Probably gonna get a
The only
bullet.
people who are safe from Trump's ire are his family.
Yeah.
You're in and you're out, and when you cross him, you're off. That's it.
Yeah, even if you're a
Yeah.
son. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't stop. He's like Gotti. He'll just keep going after you.
I
Is
heard
that guy Bolton in
Aaron-
trouble if he publishes the
Don't
book
cross
and all that?
What? What'd you say? What'd you say, Charlene?
Is it Bolton that if he writes that Trump doesn't want him to come out with that book? Is that the guy?
Yeah. They're trying to prevent
So
that.
he's going to publish it. So what's going to happen now? Trump
Well,
is gonna-
apparently Trump is
and it's a
bothered.
selective leak by the Democrats.
Apparently, he's bothered by a lot of this stuff, and he doesn't want certain things to come out. You know,
Absolutely.
and
he's covering it up. He's trying to cover it up.
His advisors and the president are supposed to be private. What he thinks, what he does, and what he thinks, and what he asks, those things should be private to
So-
allow real
How
decisions.
come he's the only president that people are doing this to?
Because you guys hate the fact that you lost the
Wait a
election.
minute,
No.
Phil. You're blaming it on nothing because.
I mean, on you guys.
Oh, no, but for what it doesn't. What you're saying makes no sense.
From
The
day
people
one.
around him. Hold on.
It's like
The
Trump.
people around him were picked by him, and in some cases, second and third and fourth pick.
Rob, the
Those are not the left; they're
They-
the right doing this to him.
day he was nominated, you actually said, hey, I think that what'll happen is the electors that go to the convention may mutiny and not elect him. That was the first hope and prayer. And then
That was true.
hopes and prayer.
But you're not answering my question.
Well,
You're making another argument completely. All right, we can have that discussion. What I'm saying to you is his people, the people he chose to be close to him, Bolton, whomever, these people are leaking stuff. They're writing books. Why? This didn't happen to any other president.
cash
How,
in.
in fact, maybe
That's
that
a good
there's a
question.
fear factor there where they think, you know what? Now that they're out of they're out of the fray because they crossed him, or maybe they had the balls to speak up, but they're out of the fray. Maybe they're finally saying, you know what? Maybe this isn't so good for this country.
And no, I think I think they're looking for a payday. Even who was the woman that wrote the expose on JFK?
Omarosa? Oh,
It's
right.
more than a payday. These people are not hurting for money.
No, I mean they got legal bills, most of them.
gee, you
Most
know,
of
we
them-
didn't even get to talk about. We didn't even
question.
get to
I'm
really.
They don't-
excited
legal
to debate
bills.
We
What
didn't
else?
even. We didn't even really get to the nitty gritty of Kirk Douglas. God.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
103. Spartacus. I'm
Yeah.
Spartacus.
I mean,
baby dies
the fact
No,
that
Spartacus.
no, the fact that it's pretty well common knowledge in Hollywood that he raped Natalie Wood when she was 15.
Oh, that's right. Yes. You always
Yeah,
say
nobody
that.
ever says that. They go, "Oh, Spartacus, the great," you know,
I wonder what they're going to do for him Sunday now. at the Oscars.
probably rape
They
somebody.
should wheel him out.
Oh, I hope they don't forget to mention him.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. Well,
She
yeah.
will be at his funeral.
That was one of the more pervasive rumors running around Hollywood for years, and supposedly not without merit.
Oh, didn't Weinstein drop he rested his case? He rested the defense after
no.
the witnesses.
No,
Well, who was it? There were
they
several
arrested
witnesses.
the what do you call it?
The people that complained out on him.
Yeah, they finished that part of it. Now the defense is going to start up on Monday.
I thought his defense was just arrest.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, not that I know of. Not what I heard. Not what I heard. Boy, that's a good-looking mic you got there, Rob.
Actually, this is not an expensive mic at all.
What is it?
This is a Samson, my brother's company.
Oh yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
CO1. It's I think it's 100 and change. This is not an expensive
Really?
mic.
I have a Samson mic. I love it.
Yeah, I mean they make
Yeah.
nice lights.
Hey, listen, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much, Rob, for coming by tonight because we needed you this evening. You're the voice of.
That's
Huh?
the problem with this. I've
Okay,
avoided
back.
this, and I have agita now because of it.
Well,
Don't
don't
have
get
agita.
agita.
Yankees
Don't get
contact,
agita.
that's
Just
good.
enjoy it. Go with it. Go with the flow. We love having you here, Rob. You're terrific. And get that studio together so we can have your voice back up doing promos, because that's what we really miss. Charlene, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Charlene. Thanks to Bree, who is just a mere shadow of himself right now. Thanks, Rob. Thanks to Ray. Thanks to Jeff, who said hardly anything this evening, but was there all night.
That's
And
right.
you see, he's had a heart condition, Rob, and he's still in good shape here.
Jumping.
And Tony, thank you, a future voter for Donald Trump, and Kevin, always good having you here. In fact,
I
it's
was right. I voted third party last.
good having all of you here. Why don't you all give a big wave goodbye, and we'll wave back at you. And there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight, and we'll kill them the Skypes. So the next program, which is Jack Bishop, and he has the intersection, can be here next. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow night, right after we do a little radiation and get all glowing for you at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Okay, bye bye.